got a couple. Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. All right, people. Before I start, this show is about truth in the UFO world. Seriously, there's no lies. There's no storytelling. And if you're going to run away, run away. But I'm telling you straight out, if you don't want the truth, you don't need to come to this show because all we deal with is the highest truth that we can put out there that we deal with and we know is that word. So I'm Tommy Hawksblood calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. We've been doing this show for almost 2 years, or 2 years
3
even,
years. 3
almost
years.
3 years already. So
Nearly
people,
3 years.
we've been here. We don't run and hide. We don't. I don't change my name. My name's on every site under Tommy Hawk's Blood. So people, if you're really interested in the truth, stick around. Don't hang up. Don't run out. Don't close the computer down. Whatever. However you're getting into this show. But please, any questions, put it in the chat room. Uh, Pertaining to the topic, we'll answer it. We'll get into it. And if we can't answer it, we'll direct you to a better place where you can. But if I can't answer it, it's probably not going to be able to get answered anywhere else. All right, people. My co-host Tina Bird. Greetings, Tina.
Greetings, Tommy, and hello, everybody. I'm Tina Bird here in Southampton in the UK, broadcasting live to Hawaii and the United States. And have a good evening. It's great to see you. A few things going on this week, but we'll get into the topic. Please come onto the show. Let us know any questions if you want to come on the show, if you'd like us to interview you, or if you want to ask me, Tommy, any questions. But just a quick one, my book, after 2 long years, is available in like a magazine form. There it is there, The Bonded, The Truth About Alien Abduction, SBIBSN number. There it is there. There's my Bird Books logo. And it's there. There you have it, my people. So go out, get it on Amazon. It's on, you can get it on Amazon, and you can also get it on your laptop and tablet. So there you go. It's The Bonded, The Truth About Alien Abduction by T.A. Bird. And that is just my full account of my account, what happened to me. I've got my investigator's statement, my disclosure, everything in there, and a little thanks at the end to the people that have helped me. Unfortunately, I couldn't publish this with any pictures inside, but I will bring one out with all the pictures and photographic evidence and everything else. I do have it. Either has to be words or pictures, but there you go, guys. But if you're not into that, there's a top 10. I've got a second book out, and it's been there a while. It's sort of keeps resurfacing. Very, very good read, apparently. And it is a good book. It's a very good story. I'm going to break it down. I've got part 3 till 3 on the go. It's called Guardians of Light and My Brotherhood of the Night by me. There's my IBSN number. Come on. And I've also got another one called The Checkpoint. I haven't got a spare copy of that because I've sold out. But yeah, so that one, and my Checkpoint. So guys, always worth a read. I'll be speaking as well on the 13th of August up at Watford Awake and Aware, so you can come and see me there. I'm going to give a lecture called The Human Side of Alien Abduction. Come and see me. I'll sign some books and you can have your photos of me. But Tommy, over to you. Let's get on with this alien crunching. Let's go for it. Go on then.
All right, everybody. That's Tina Bird and her books. I have 5 books out. Well, my 5th book's coming out, hopefully. But they don't pertain to UFOs. I've been writing about spiritualism for most of my life, so it's a totally different topic. So I'm not promoting them here. But let's get started. In the UFO world right now, in the United States, Congress people are coming out and saying they want the truth of UFOs, and it's becoming really big every which way. So here's the thing, people. This is the way it's going to go down. I don't care what anybody in the UFO world says. They're going to push the idea that UFOs are real. Fine. But they're not going to go into the details, why they're here, and who's flying them. I mean, they want to get people to say, okay, well, it's a real UFO. I mean, they're talking to fighter people that fly jets and everything. Oh, they saw objects. But they're not going to be talking about why they're here. So it's going to take a long time for that to come out. But I mean, at least saying that what you're seeing isn't just a satellite or a comet. Now, if they're really trying to slander that person in Vegas that had the alien in their yard, they're trying to say it was a meteorite crashing and they're blocking it out and everything, the alien and stuff like that now. So they're doing everything they can to squash that story. And it should be the most important story in the UFO world right now. and nobody's talking about it. All right. People listen to the news, listen to people talking. And somebody says, "Oh, that's fake." "Oh, it was fake. That's what I thought." They don't care what the real part of it is. Did you talk to the people? I have a friend that lived, my real close friend's uncle lived right next door to where it happened. Right, and it was real. There was cops all over the place. Everything went down when that was going down. So it wasn't a fake story, people. And the poor people have been threatened already. So we're not going to hear much from them unless somehow they say, okay, somebody reporter goes in there and says, come on, let's tell the story. So without that, uh, the most important story going down right now is being squashed. Sure, they're going to talk about now all the evidence they have and things like that. But are they going to pull out thousands of files of UFOs and pictures and all that? They're not going to. They're going to just say, well, blah, blah, blah. Somebody cited this. And then they always recreate it. They're not showing the real videos. Wait till at least start showing real videos, which they didn't do yet. All right. I mean, a Tic Tac's not a big picture of a ship. I mean, I can film little shots and big shots and videos of little balls of light going by in the sky and stuff like that. But I'm talking about an actual ship. Now, I can tell you this. In 1996 to 2002, I worked with a person, his name was Sergeant 18. We released hundreds of pictures of actual UFOs in the sky that look like ships, that don't look like a dot or whatever. We filmed many of them at super high speed. How do you film a UFO at high speed? You get a camera that shoots a lot of frames per second. All right, 300 frames sounds like a lot, but they have cameras now that can shoot 3,000 frames a second. And ships are traveling at the speed of light. You have to watch that in super slow motion, which means it takes you hours and hours to look at a half-hour video. And most people will not be ready or willing to do that. Skinwalker Ranch people, all right, is releasing a lot of information. They filmed the ship going by, and they said it's going at such a speed and everything. They're releasing a lot of things. All right, I've been trying to get in touch with them for almost, 6, 8 months. Not one person's getting back to me. I have a private line to Tyler, and he didn't get back to me yet. So I don't know whether their ego's bigger than whatever, kind of like Lou Elizondo. They think they're the best speaker, best person, or have the most information than anybody else, and say absolutely nothing. Lou Elizondo is trying to say most things are government ships now, rather than UFOs. Those from Russia or China. Now, people, I'm telling you, if you want a book, I got a manual how to see a UFO. If you never saw a UFO, please email me. It's just a manual. I'm not charging for it. You can pull it up on a PDF file and read it. It'll give you all the steps to see a UFO in a couple weeks. If you do what I tell you, you will see a UFO. And hopefully that'll open your horizon to like a new world, like there's real things going on. So without that, people can't understand it or believe it. They say, yeah, it's real. It could be real. No, we want to get past that stage at least. Everybody near you to know UFOs are flying over us every single day. All right. And then the worst part of that, which I'll tell you about the sun, but the worst part of that is they're abducting people every day around the world, people. They're not here for love and light. They're not here for compassion. They're not here to train us to do anything good. And Tina's story is one of the most incredible UFO stories right now as far as abduction, people. A real word. Not experiencer, not a dreamer or whatever. A real experience. And she has much more proof than 90% of the people in the UFO world claiming to be abducted. So with that, I want people to ask questions. If you have questions, please put it in the chat room. If you don't know what's going on in the real world, ask us. The government's covering things up. People that come out with stories aren't helping us. I mean, I saw a UFO. I'd say 50% of the people on the planet actually saw a UFO and don't even know it. But the ones that actually know that it's a UFO, like my friends around my neighborhood, I have them all watching. And every week, one of them comes up, oh, you know what I saw last night? Oh, you know what I saw last night? And it's not a shooting star. And it's not a satellite. If anything you see is going across the sky and goes sideways, down, stops, it's not a satellite, people. Now, sure, people say it's a drone. Well, when it goes like that, it's not a drone either. We don't have that technology on a drone. Our drones are incredible. They could be remote transported everywhere and everything, but shooting beams of poison gas, whatever they're going to do, is a thing that they can do. But shooting at the speed of light or even the speed of sound, they can't do it. And do maneuvers in that speed as well. So, people, it's time to face what's going to happen. And we're going to talk about it a little today. Why are they here? And Tina's going to get into that because she knows why. All right, greatly. I know why too. I'll talk about my experience a little bit later, but we both have actual experiences, which makes it more important than, oh, I think they're here to do this. Oh, I think they're here to do that. Thinking doesn't help. Your thinking doesn't help me understand why aliens are here. You could say they're going to help feed the world. No, they're not. They're going to cure the world. No, they're not. So, people, are you ready for the truth? Please, if you are, stick around. We're going to go into it, dive into it the best we can. And if you have questions about it, ask. Yes, they eat humans. All right, Tina, go ahead.
Well, on that note, Tommy, it seems that they may be eating horses. I've just watched a up-to-date version of Skinwalker Ranch, where one of the local police chiefs, I think, or sheriffs out there in the States, has come forward and said that he investigated, it's not a cattle mutilation, it's a horse mutilation. Right, the ranch adjoining a Skinwalker Ranch a few years ago was found to have had 2 dead adult horses in the field right next to the fence where Skinwalker Ranch is. And it turns out that the police found some very small prints, and they also found 2 dead horses with all the internal bits and pieces missing. So if you guys get to watch like this week's episode, I think, of Skinwalker Ranch, keep a lookout for that. It's on there. But a lot of people now, whether they have better insight than me, I couldn't tell you that. Everybody can't have the same experience. I understand that. But people can't tell me my experience is not wrong. It's or they didn't mean to be mean, or they didn't mean to be. Well, yeah, they did, and there is like a proven threat, not just to like space stations and aeroplanes, but to humanity. If you have an unimpeded force that comes into our part of the universe, we don't own the universe. There's nothing wrong with that, but when they enter our atmosphere, come into our airspace, come into our part of the world, are they bringing in bacteria? Are they bringing in radiation? Are they changing our climate? Are they poisoning our air? Is bacteria spreading, making us ill? Is it making our animals sick? Is it having a pull on the Earth's magnetic field? We don't know. And then to top it all off, an alien force that comes in to our airspace under the guise of night. So not even pretending to be friendly and waving a white flag or landing on the White House lawn or or in Westminster. They're not doing that. They're coming under the guise of night into your home, unannounced, uninvited, and they're taking you. But it doesn't stop there. Not only are they taking you, they're taking you against your will because they're not asking permission. They're just taking you. And once they take you, they're performing experiments on you. They don't ask your permission. They just sedate you, tie you down, and get on with it. They don't care about us. So they can give 2 monkeys about us. So, and they're taking DNA, harvesting organs, drilling bits in your pelvis, drilling your teeth, taking DNA, making hybrid children from your DNA, harvesting from your materials to mix it with theirs and God knows what else, creating creatures. It can't be like a spliced human, a hybrid, whatever you want to call it, and then unleashing that, taking it to another part of the universe where we have no contact with it, we have no control, we don't know the outcome of what's happening to these species that are half human. They are half human. So who's responsible for that if they cause chaos in that part of the world, if they start killing each other in that part of the universe, or if they spread diseases? And what happens if they're anything like me, and they're going to say, no, sod this for a game of Dynamite, I'm going home and come back to Earth. What are they going to bring with them? What are they going to cause? What havoc is it going to cause? Would they be able to live here? Could they breathe here? Would they see us as a potential threat? You know, there's so many more questions in this can of worms that people don't even want to look at. Never mind, like, oh, is that what you're seeing in the sky real? Well, if you don't know you're seeing a number 10 bus coming down the street, that's real. These things are in the sky, they're real. Aeroplanes are real. Human beings are real. These things that fly these unidentified craft, and only unidentified because you're afraid to say, oh, they're a saucer. We don't know if they're from Venus, from Mars, whether they're from Io, wherever from Cygnus, wherever they're from. Okay. So, but you can categorize them. Yes, it's an unidentified spacecraft or a UAP. It's a UFO. Let's just keep it basic. You've seen an unidentified craft. It's a UFO. You've seen a number 10 bus. So, you know what an airplane looks like. You know what a balloon looks like. You know what a weather balloon looks like. So we're not mistaking these things anymore. You can't have any more of that nonsense rammed down your throat. You know, as a human being, as an adult, what you are seeing. Your testimony is used in a court of law under evidence that you give to say what you've seen. And if you can't identify a weather balloon from fizzy mist in the air coming from a swamp that doesn't exist, there's something wrong with you. So people do know what they're seeing. This is happening to us. Never mind all these protests going around the world about we're causing climate change. We may well be promoting it, but people seem to forget the Earth is like a giant washing machine cycle. We were here once before. It's been a lot warmer than it is now before on our planet. And we were in different parts of the universe all the time. The last time we were in this part of the universe, the dinosaurs walked the Earth. And look what happened to them. So you got to take that into account in Earth's natural cycles. It doesn't help, I must admit, drilling holes and taking precious oils and what have you. Fair enough. But these things, like I've seen around Hawaii, where Tommy lives, hundreds of them, because it's got volcanicity there, huge amounts of volcanoes going off. So they're also always seen near volcanoes. Is it them causing that? If it is them causing, volcanoes, are they driving the heat underneath the Earth to our mantle? Are they doing things to our water? If they're crash landing in the water, are they polluting it? Are they killing our fish? Are they killing us? Are they bleaching the seas? Are they killing the whales? We can't be blamed for everything. If these things are visiting us, and they're mutilating our cattle. They're mutilating human beings because they're taking parts from inside of us. They may be dumping us back because there's nowhere else to put us, but they're taking bits from inside us without our consent and using them. Again, responsibility, what it's doing to us, and who's being held accountable. Sorry, Tommy, I'm going on a rant. Over to you.
All right. I just want to say I just watched a special last night on the balloon that came into the United States. And they had government people talking about it and everything else. They said they have to be more careful because the technology in this balloon is a threat. So, in other words, it wasn't just the balloon. Whatever it was carrying was much more than a balloon. And obviously, they could see and tell what it was. They were talking about jets flying out now, trying to check these balloons and things. All right, they're not going to say anything different than that right now. But the technology, they flew it from Russia over us. All right. So guess what? It wasn't a balloon.
So how can the military now have counts? They have an official count record of at least 3 or 4 countries of UFOs they come into contact with and shoot down.
So
that's a tally. So that tells you all you need to know.
Right. So it's going down as far as not just being a balloon. But that week, when they reported that balloon, there was 5 in that 1 week.
Yeah, they never told you what the rest were.
We saw one over Hawaii. They never mentioned that. In Hawaii they did, but it didn't go worldwide news. But the other 2 were never mentioned. So, and I'm going to tell you this, people. You listen to all these UFO people talking about Roswell. You can't go to a conference and not hear the word Roswell mentioned. It's old, people. It's not going to help us.
It's not 70, maybe 80 years old now.
It doesn't give us as people any important information. But I will tell you this. there were 3 ships shot down. I was at a Hopi medicine man his grandfather was there when it happened. And they took an alien that got out of the ship for 9 months and communicated with it. And then finally a ship came down and took that gray away. So it wasn't doing anything. They all sat there and talked and worked together for talking through a crystal. So technology is incredible. What's going down is a lot different than people are talking about. But anything important is not spoken about, which is even more scarier. Now, I'm going to say Thomas Morning Sky. All right, I call him that, but his name is Robert Morning Sky. But he actually uh, took me on a vision quest. We were supposed to see aliens and everything else. But his grandfather's the one that was in Roswell when that ship crashed. He did his thesis in college on that whole story, and he got a special award and everything. They didn't want to give it to him because it was about a UFO and an alien, but he wrote it so incredibly. But after that, he lectured around the United States for a couple years, uh, and within that time frame, they threatened him. Uh, they actually picked him up and brainwashed him at the end. But right before that happened, he was in front of his house, and a black car smashed into him, broke every bone in his body, just about. And then he was called to do a TV show. He disappeared for 3 days, and when he came back, he won't mention the word UFOs. I saw him at a conference, and he told me, "Oh, blah blah blah," and he was going to fight me. I went on a vision quest with him, but he goes, "I'm going to." I thought he was meant physically fight with me. Then this guy from FEMA, an ex-FEMA man, gave me a card about this big. He goes, "It's a program card," and it says "Against Abductions and Implants." I stuck it in my pocket. So that night, Robert Morning Sky came over to me and says, "You're not going to do your lecture with Sergeant 18." And then 5 minutes later, he's there with 6 people. They're all dressed in black with their suitcases, and they leave the hotel. He was supposed to do a week workshop, but after he came over to me and he suddenly disappeared, I was blown away. And whether it was really the card that said implant and all that energy was programmed into this card by FEMA, but again, uh, he was completely reprogrammed, for a short word, and they do that. So when I say programmed, you get programmed 2 ways: by the government or by aliens, and both of them can do a pretty good job on it. But the Greys and the reptilians and everybody else that are doing it are feeding them false stories, which then become an experiencer. Oh, I was taken; it was a great experience. Oh, they gave me dinner and we went to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. We met some friends up there. The story gets better and better when they tell them. But serious people, we're in a serious place right now. Tina is not in the best place in her life. She never wanted to be in this place. She's not happy about it. Oh, and she doesn't wish she could get back on a ship and all those kind of things that people wish. That's the farthest thing in her mind. Oh, I want to get back on a ship and travel. No, you're not going to be taken anywhere. You think they're traveling through space to get in touch with you to do what? Teach you how to do a new alphabet or learn about a real God? No. So people, everybody, I'm saying go out and buy her book. It's probably one of the most important books you want to read about abduction right now. All right. She has the experience. She went through it most of her life. It started when she was young. So, and the only reason why I did this show with her because I know and trust her 100%. All right. I don't have too many people on my show, as you can see. That's cool cover. I had Sean David Morton, and they screwed my voice up the whole show. But I'm going to try to get him on, but he's afraid it's my site. No, it's it's people that monitor him. I knew him for a really long time, so they watch what I do, and if I try to promote him, it's a problem. But again, I'm going to be doing a show. I'll talk about that near the end of this. But I want Tina to talk a little bit about what's in her book, what people expect to hear, read, see, and experience by after they read it.
Okay, so yeah, so my book, I've actually had some feedback already, so I'll just go through the feedback. A lady called Kirsty read my book, and she gave me 5 stars review. She said, "Tina, it's an amazing book. What happens next?" I'm like, well, "What do you mean? What happens next?" She said, "It leaves it like a bit of a cliffhanger." But my book is purely factual, so it is just strictly. I only talk about abductions. I give my opinions on UFOs in other situations and things like that, and that's all one really can do. This book is purely about my abduction, what happened to me, and in my account. So, and I've called it the bonded because they need something from us. They need a bond, a link. I call it the truth about alien abduction because everyone says, "Oh, they're not bad." It is how you're seeing it. I see it from an alien species coming into this planet and just take. I'm not the only one. There's nothing special about me. They've taken millions of people. I've seen hundreds of people up there awake that sleep. They were up there. I'm not the only one. But yeah, so they need a bond. When they put these babies in front of you, they need you to bond with them. So they have that on like a digital record or some type where they can show the rest of them. They need that link. So I call it the bonded, the truth about alien abduction. That's what actually happened to me, not airy fairy like stories. I'm not saying everybody's story is different. It's just that this is just what's happened to me. I've not lied to it. It's profoundly impacted my life since I was a child, and even now, still today as an adult, it'll never leave me. And why should we suffer? Why they tell victims to speak out, and they speak out, and then people think, oh, well, yeah, it is happening, but why do you think it's negative? Well, hold on. You should be more shocked that this is happening and the government is doing nothing about it. But yeah, so just what to expect. So literally it goes in and it just tells you, I'll give you a little bit of introduction about it. It just says where to start and how I started, which was when I spoke to my lead investigator, lovely gentleman, Gary Heseltine, the police officer. He's just released the book called Non-Human. You'll see it there. Gary gave me that and signed it. Please buy it. It's available on Amazon, same as mine. I think it's $17.50 this one. Please get it. It's a very good book to read. It's about cable. Well, like the cable green was the actual green. What happened? Rendlesham Forest incident. So it's called Non-Human. But my book, The Bonded. So I contacted Gary Heseltine. He's the only contact because I didn't know anything about who to report it to, who to help. I wanted help. And a lovely gentleman called David Hodram. I investigated my case. I spoke to him for hours on the phone. Lovely gentleman, very thorough. I did readings, drawings, met with him, spoke to him, emails, messaging, you name it. And then it just goes on to how it started. So I've tried to give it all little headers, each section, little headers. I haven't put page numbers on there, and I wanted it to look like a girly magazine, but they can only do it that big. And I do have dyslexia, but apparently it is very good. So, and this is feedback. So it just tells you about my other two books there. To get into it, I've got a UFO statement. So my investigator, David Hodgren, gladly typed a statement up, which I'll put in here. And a Tina Bird account, and it just tells you what to expect in the book. And it starts on my first encounter, Face in the Light, Tina Bird account. And then it goes on to the drilling of my teeth, and then the figure at the window. That's an account with my brother, hole in my leg. And just on that subject, I haven't put it in here. So there is another lady who has come forward, unbeknownst to me. And I didn't know till I met her at one of the UK's first support meetings for abductees that have been investigated in that. And she has identical holes in her leg in the same place as I do, which was very, very shocked about. A lovely lady I met. We keep in contact. And she had this, I didn't realise, it wasn't until I gave my account and showed the drawings of these black pods. She gasped, and I kind of thought, oh God, I've upset her. And she said, I've seen those pods. I didn't realise there was babies in them. And she told her account, I was absolutely gobsmacked, nearly identical to mine. Absolutely. So, there are other people out there this has happened to. So there you go. So that just says hole in my leg. So a little bit about sleep paralysis. I actually had sleep paralysis once. My father got killed when I was very young. And so I experienced that. I didn't know what it was at the time, and I spoke with it about my auntie. And hello, John, nice to see you. And my auntie said about, I didn't know nothing about it at the time, I was only a youngin', and it's told me about the sleep paralysis and how it affected people. And I was really, so I've had it. Sleep paralysis. The difference with sleep paralysis is when you have sleep paralysis, it's like a groggy, drunk look. You don't feel groggy. You can't focus. You can't focus. You feel alert. You feel like there's a presence in the room. Something's not right. You can't focus and you can't move. It's not like you try to move and you can't. When you're abducted, you can't even feel that. And then you start to panic because you can't, you hyperventilate and you can't control your breathing. When you're abducted, you don't know you can't breathe. That's the difference. That is the total difference. It's nothing like each other. So that, you know, I can definitely say that. And then a bit about missing time. Hooded figure. Apparently, lots of people may have seen this. And Richard Dolan, I met him and his wife Tracy I met Tracy only once, and she gave a lecture which I watched. And she spoke about this hooded figure. And when I showed Richard Dolan that, he said Tracy would be very interested in seeing that. And then we've got pain in the bum. I've called it pain in the bum for obvious reasons. And then a grey examination that tells you about what I saw, what I became aware of, what happened. The conveyor about my experience on there. The other people saw really good description of everything I could remember. Everything I could remember is down there. Chest operation, when I came around and woke up and there's blood sprouting out my chest and they freaked out. Those little ones they weren't supposed to communicate with us, so they don't like us at all. Unexplained neck bruising, I have the pictures for that, so I just spoke about that and the account of what happened about that. The black pods is the big one. That was a very emotional time for me. It's a shock of feeling that you're laid there helpless and you're going to die. No one's going to help you from that. That was awful. This is not her home. And then internal damage, about what I've suffered, what the hospital found, what results and scan images, and what they took out of me during operations and things like that. And embryos aboard the craft, where they're taking all these embryos, and there's millions of other people's embryos on this craft, absolutely packed. There must have been about a billion eggs, human fertilized eggs. There must have been on this. And I say ship, this thing looked like it was the other side of Jupiter, or just below Jupiter. If you look wherever it was, just below Jupiter, where it seemed to be, because when we went underneath it, I couldn't even see Jupiter. This thing looked black. It looked like it had some kind of grill or something on it. It looked like a shape of a submarine, but in space. And man never built anything like that. Nothing. And in the size of it was absolutely epic. And so I wrote about that and about the when I had the thing out of my hand and arm, and partner's abduction, chest markings and pain in my hand, the wrinkle grey. I've only ever saw one really wrinkled one. It looked old. It looked like a beige orangey colour. It didn't look quite right. It looked something different, and a slightly different head, not like a heart shape, thumb shape, whatever it was. It wasn't quite right. It was a tiny bit smaller than the other ones. The mutilated buffalo I saw that was when I was in like a bubble. The light examination, joint abduction, arm marking. Yep. And then that's about my mum. Attempted abduction of my friend's daughter when we were away on holiday. Numbers. And in closing, so I can read you the last page, so it just sums it up for you. I put there. In closing, this book tells you my account. I've called it The Bonded because it's something that they need and wanted from me. They need something we can do, something that they cannot. Now, whether that is our bodies as vessels or our souls, or how we produce them with each body, we don't understand enough about our own death and essence of our souls. I've not spoken about the emotional side of this, as it changes you. It is something that has been devastating to me, and I can't seem to talk about that side of it. I'm at a loss, and because of what I suffered, all I can say is it's been absolutely heartbreaking for me and my family. Abductees do hold so much more information than people think. I've learned that they like something here in our water. They don't like our behaviour. They can leave their bodies at any time. This is not their true form. We only leave our bodies when we die. They live exceedingly long times. We are nothing to them except a commodity. If you've had direct contact with them, you can somehow connect with them, but they look upon this as something like a screaming child. They don't like to tolerate that. They don't like this. I think it's the closest to the link you can pick up. So the closer the link you are, the better frequency you can get. It's like a transmission radio in your head that's tuned to them. I personally don't like the word experiencer, as I think it takes away something from being called an abductee. You're taken at any age from your home under the cover of night and away from your family and tortured and experimented on. I have seen hundreds of men and women up there, all awake but asleep. I cannot be the only one. There should be more done to help abductees. I lay the blame for pain and suffering at the feet of the government's doors for failing to protect all people on this earth. Keep looking up. And I just got a little special thank you note on the page after that. And that was just to thank people that have helped me with this book and how to contact me. So there's how to contact me there. So I'll put that on there. So there's my PA's details on there, YouTube and calendars, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and a website. There you go. So my website's a bit under development a bit, but John, go on to Amazon. Try me, click and buy this little baby. It's £6. Get it. Please leave me a brilliant review if you could. Please read it and review it. So that's a little bit about what you find in my book. So there were just headers I read out, and it tells you about, I'll try to explain as much detail. It's hard to explain in detail things you've never seen before. So I've never seen it, but I could identify it. Yes, it's on Kindle. So if you go onto Amazon and put books by Tina Bird, you'll see this one, and then if you scroll down, you'll see this one, and you'll see the checkpoint there. They're all on Kindle, I believe. I think it's free. This one's actually free on Kindle if you're a one of the Amazon. If you're a member, you've got membership to Amazon for their books and that. I think you can actually get it free. So just check that out on KDP or whatever it's called. So yeah, it's on Kindle and you can buy this. So yeah, please leave a review. And it just tells you. So basically, my lovely sister-in-law, Annalie Bird, did the cover. It's supposed to be me on the front with holding like markings from the bruising I had from when they took me, and like contact. So contact to come forward. People think it's a wonderful experience. Again, I'm not diminishing or taking anything away from anyone's abduction. I would hate to do that, being in the same place myself. But on the other hand, I'm not having people telling me what I felt, what I saw, and what happened, because that's not. I'll tell you firmly in my book what's happened, and that's it. So yeah, that's what's happened to me. So I hope people can accept that. And but there's two sides to every coin. So there are probably some good abductions. Some people may have got further, but being in their links enough for me. I think I don't think there's many people that can actually say that they've turned around and communicated and been inside their link, and how it was incomprehensible to me that I managed to get anything at all. So, but to see a blink of the other side and what it looks like. Alien Pick New. This one. No, my sister-in-law does. She does digital art, Annalie Bird. So there you go. And there's my Bird Books logo on the back with the phoenix, and there's my RBSN number. There you go. So yeah, yeah. Okay, if you want to send it over, I'll sign it and send it back for you, or I can sign. I think I've still got a few of the little cards somewhere. I did have. I'll sign you one and send it over to me. If you send me your address in private messenger, I'll send one. What race was? I don't know the race. People ask that. I'm like, the expert on abduction, but about races, I can't tell you. They look like, if you read by the book, buy the book, and I'll describe what they look like in the book. I'm going to bring a book out, I think, just of pictures, because I couldn't have drawings and pictures in this book for some reason. But oh, sorry, it's my fan. Oh, right me death. Yeah. So yeah, you can go on to my case file, Southampton case file on Birmingham UFO group. So click up Birmingham UFO group in Hampshire, England, on the internet, and you can go on the abduction files, records, and all my pictures are on there, so you can see them on there. Well, if it's a grey, people call them grey, right? So I don't know why they call them grey. These beings are like glowing white. I'm not sure if they're grey, if people see them in the dark, but the ones I saw, like they're glowing white. Apart from the wrinkled one, he like had black wrinkles, and he looked like a salmon tanned, orangey beigey colour. He was different from the rest of them. They've all been like a glowing white textured skin, from what I could tell. Yeah. So the little ones hang about like in groups of 3, and they were smaller, about 2.5 to 3 feet tall with that. And slightly little jelly bellies on them. The apple seed. They weren't like people say they're like, it was like apple seed eyes, apple pips, they look like apple pips. A slit from mouth, very like the chin and face come in. I didn't see any ears. But I wasn't really focusing on the ears. It was like the eyes and things like that. They don't come out and say hi. No, they don't. They don't. They don't come and say hi. They don't ask your permission. They don't ask your parents' permission. They just come and zap you up and take you and do what they want with you. But I think now it's been many years on. I think people might, hopefully, never hopefully in my lifetime, where they see the consequences of that. And I fear the generations of my family and what's going to happen to them. And if these creatures or these spliced beings do come back, what effect on my family would that have? I don't know. I'd hate to think. But we need answers, and we need answers fast. The human race is, we've got all kinds of exploration, but we need answers now to tell our children and grandchildren. Tommy.
Tina, we need you to do that past life regression. I hope we can do it sometime soon, because that could open up a couple more things for you to talk about. Basically, she doesn't remember every single thing, and nobody can. You go to an event, you could sit through a lecture. How many remember 100% of everything they heard during that lecture? Well, her mind, they're playing with every part of her body and everything else. It's hard to focus on, like, oh, what are they saying? It's not possible.
It goes so quick. The information, if you're in a link, is so fast.
So what I'm saying, I like I said, if you ever can do it, I'd like to be on Skype with you while it's being done.
Yeah.
I can keep some protection around you and work with you as well. But hope we can set that up sometime soon. Now, I know too many people went to Bud Hopkins, and I know a few people that did, and they said he did not help them at all. All he wanted information for his books. Oh, they were abducted. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. But again, he didn't help the people get through it, understand what happened, how to deal with it, which is really critical in this world, because nobody else is going to help you. I mean, the roundtables for UFO abductees are real. There's a few around the United States. But also, if those people have no way to protect themselves, how are they going to tell somebody else how to protect them? I can help a few people that haven't been abducted how not to get abducted. But right now, it's a critical thing, because people don't know what the word spiritual means. They don't know what the word God means. And they don't know what the word alien means, really. And there's multiple aliens out there. And they all have something different to do, and what they want to do, what they want to attain or achieve. So if you have any information, had any real experiences, call me, text me, write to me. If it's important, we'll bring you on. That's for sure. Even if it's not super important, if it's real story, we'll bring you on. I want people to see that it's happening. Most people, well, it didn't really happen.
That's right. I'm just looking for my Geiger counter, so I'm not being acting mad.
But the government's still making it sound like these people are crazy.
Yeah.
Now, the famous scientist that works out of a college claimed that 75% have a chemical imbalance in their brain. Well, it could have happened after they got abducted.
75 people have a chemical balance inside their brain. So how then do they get drill marks in their teeth? How do they get marks in their stomach? How then do they get holes drilled into their pelvis?
I don't know how they picked this guy because he's a college scientist and everything else, but still, I can't. I think it's George Nolan or something like that. But basically, he's famous. But he talks about aliens. He talks about things.
John's
But he
got a
has
question
no.
in the chat. John, get a Geiger counter. This is again. You can come on with me and Tommy. That gives us a third party who's impartial to come on and give us their readings. The more the merrier.
But they are cheap.
Yeah. So, John, this is me and Tommy have one identical. This is it. I bought one on Amazon. So did Tommy. This is my second one. I think the first one fell in my tea or in the water a couple of Christmases ago.
You dropped it, I thought, in something.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Electrical magnetic radiation tester. That's it there. That's exactly what the back looks like. I bought it on Amazon. It was about 18 quid. So it's probably about $20 now.
If she was a magician, she could have that. If you were a magician, you could make it do things. But we're not playing that kind of game, people.
So just going to click it to turn it on. Right, at the top here, you will see a volts per meter and at the bottom, micro Teslas. So there you go. At the top, volts per meter. At the bottom, micro Teslas. Now, I have my fan on, so I'm just going to switch it off. So there's no electrical magnetic radiation or any volts per meter shooting about. So now I've actually turned it off. It wasn't doing anything when it was on. It was getting a little force field around me. Now, Tommy's just going to turn his on. Now, my top one, my volts per meter never used to go off. Tommy's is flashing like a gun. And if you notice on his, it says harmful. So I'm now going to put this to my head. Okay. This frightens freaks me out every time.
Now, let me say this. When I take my Geiger counter for a ride in my car...
It's not beeping, but the numbers are there. So the numbers are there, but it's not beeping. Now we're going to go for this side. This side always tries to beep.
Well, when I go riding around town, my beeper goes off under radiation.
Oh.
And the one place it does, I know they buried bombs there.
Well, they go. So it's 20. It's not beeping, which is good for me. So it is 28, 0.28, by the way, 0.28. Well, there you go. So that is harmful. If you see at the bottom, it's a harmful dose I'm releasing. How can a human be given off harmful doses of electrical magnetic radiation? How is that possible?
Tina, and I hate to say this, when I put my Geiger counter against your picture on my computer... Wait, Tina. I'm putting my Geiger counter against your picture, and my bottom's going off at 1.95. And I'm serious. It never goes off on the bottom. And the only time it goes off when I'm in this room is when I put it on Tina's face, which is not possible. I don't know how it's doing it, why it's doing it. No scientist is getting back to me on that either. I actually sent letters to 3 people, one person I know, and he won't get back to me. But what happens when I do this, and if it starts going off on the bottom, showing radiation, mine on the top is like 280. So mine's super dangerous on the top. I got to get rid of this screen sometime soon. But again, when I put it across Tina's face, it very seldom goes off. But if it does...
There you go. I'm just going to turn it off. Now there you go. So when it's away from me, it's like bugger all on there. As soon as it goes near me, it starts beeping. Just going to push the button there and turns it off. So get this, guys, from Amazon, and you can come on and join me and Tommy. It'd be good to compare different readings, different parts of the body, and have a bit of fun, and it'd just be good to have a look. But yeah, so I was going to say something.
People, she's not bragging about that because it's the most dangerous thing your body could be experiencing, people. Radiation is going to be affecting the world greatly because of what the sun's going through right now. If you haven't watched the weather around the planet, has never been like this in history that we know or recorded. And it's only going to get worse. Scientists only released a week ago. The sun is going through these extreme explosions on it, which wasn't supposed to happen for another 10 years. And they said they didn't want to tell us, but it's happening now. And it's going to be a live thing for 2 years. But they did say the effects of it could actually burn out all the satellites. Every satellite has
We
a
are
little.
moving closer
Wait, wait,
to
wait,
the
wait.
sun, aren't we?
Every little satellite has a little chip of radiation in it. That's what runs it. Mr. Musk came out a couple of days ago saying his satellites are leaking radiation. How would he know that?
Must
I mean,
be
they're way
tested.
up there. How would he know they're releasing
There's got to be
radiation?
some signal thing on the
Unless
shore.
they're dying, they could be running out of power. All right, if it's leaking the radiation, but radiation doesn't go away for 100 years. So
Might be longer in
I don't know.
space.
Everything that's going on with that, with Tina and everything with radiation, not recordable. I mean, as far as being what we know as a fact. What's happening to Tina is impossible. What's happening when I put my Geiger counter next to her face is impossible. And I'm not making this up, people. But why is it not one scientist? I've been writing letters to him. Not one of them is even concerned. I would be.
Yeah. Oh,
Very
concerned.
sickly. And she's super concerned. I
Yeah.
am too. That's why I made it by a Geiger counter 2 years ago, whatever. And basically, it shows what's going on. It goes up and down, and that's not possible either, people. Anybody out there that has friends that are scientists, doctors, ask them, can radiation go up and down in a person's body? No, it can't. The CERN, CERN, all right, when they turn it on, the radiation's there. When they turn it off, the radiation is not there. All right. But again, that's a machine. We're talking about a live body that's exposed to radiation. It doesn't go up and down. Chernobyl and all those places, it doesn't go up and down. It takes years for it to slowly dissipate. And all the people around there are affected. I just watched a special on that. It's horrible what's going on there still. Radiation doesn't disappear. And it doesn't go this, people. So with that, Tina, how's your hospital bills coming? I mean, as far as what they're saying and everything else.
So I've got I've had to stop 2 types of med, but I've got another hospital where doctors review tomorrow.
See, the government doesn't care how much she has to spend for her problem. Oh, they don't want to know her problem.
Yeah.
But if the army came down with radiation poisoning, see how fast they'll be playing with it, and then they are, because right now, Tina, you got to do a little bit of investigation. I'm bare with words. 3 people told me there's a substance, vitamins, and different things you could take that actually block radiation in your body.
Yeah. Someone suggested to me I've got some type of oh god, yeah.
A couple things. They're not prescription drugs and nothing like
Oh
that
no,
either.
they're right. It's like a health, like an
But
iodine thing.
But we got to keep you healthy, Tina. We don't want to see you leave the show.
Yeah, I want to
So,
stay healthy.
and I know
All
you want
right,
to stay
guys,
healthy.
we're not far off now. I'm going to make a quick exit early because my partner's waving a cup of tea at me.
No problem.
I want to thank Tommy. We've been here nearly 3 years now, slogging away, guys. Please come back onto the show. See us. Tommy's going to put his email address up. Email Tommy. Come onto the show. John, get your Geiger counter. Join me and Tommy. Come on for a bit of fun, a bit of reading. Tell us things that we don't know. We might be missing huge things in the UFO field, but we want to know more about abduction. There's my book. Please buy it. It's available on Amazon. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Encounters on YouTube. I will be posting hopefully this week. I've had so much on. Yeah, and I've got a website, so I'm hopefully building that up. So, guys, there's everything on there. Please contact me, and I'll see you all next week. But keep looking up Tommy. I've been Tina Brown here in Southampton in the UK. Guys, I will see you next week. Take care.
Tina.
Bye-bye.
Good luck
Bye,
with your
John.
book.
Bye.
Till
Thanks
next
for watching,
time.
everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Tina Bird. She's incredible. I mean, she's going through so much. When we started, she had all the effects of radiation poisoning. She was losing her fingernails. She was losing her teeth. She was losing her hair. And when she was passing out, falling down, and half of her body would be black and blue when she got up. So all those things aren't normal in any way. The dentist couldn't figure out why she was losing her teeth. The doctors didn't tell her anything. Even when they cut the object out of her, they wouldn't tell her what it was. All her stories are really important in the UFO world because people think, well, I was abducted. If you get abducted, there's symptoms and things that remain. Even Travis Walton, when he came back, he said his body was red from radiation, whatever, for about a week. His body, but I have a friend in Long Island, not a good friend, but a really famous rich person, and the person was responsible for designing all the millionaire houses. Well, he told me a story because he said, "Oh, you're really into the UFO world?" They showed me pictures of the newspaper, and basically he was in front of this big giant glass window with his girlfriend, making out in front of the window. They were both naked. All of a sudden, they see this light come into the ocean, and they were both beet red. And he said the first thing he did, he called up the hospital. Now, what do you when you call a hospital and say, "Oh, I'm this"? What do they usually say? Come in. All right. You know what they told him? They said, "Take 3 aspirins and go to sleep." How would they tell somebody that their whole body's beet red to take 3 aspirins and go to bed? Why would they say that? The hospital had to be informed about the situation, and that's what they were told to give the people that were burned by the ship crashing into the ocean. But they were both okay. Him and his girlfriend were okay the next morning. But he showed me the newspaper article when it happened on Long Island. Now, Long Island's where they shot the plane down as well. All right. And the whole Montauk Project was out of Long Island as well. So there's a lot of stuff about that, which I'm not going to get into right now. But it's really serious, people. If you want the truth, we can get into it. Not all in one show. I will do a show on the Philadelphia experiment, the Montauk Project, and how Sargel and I filmed and saw all kinds of creatures, entities, and everything else. All right? That's one thing. Plus, I think he sold out to the government. He's disappeared. He came into a lot of money, and now he's gone. But in the interim, I'm going to be doing a show in a week, not with Tina, by myself. I'm going to explain. I'm going to do a live debate open to anybody in the UFO world that's a speaker, that think they have truth, think they have evidence, whatever they think they have, and say to prove what they're talking about. I'm going to list all the names of people that are claiming a lot of things. Whether one of them comes on, I truly doubt it. They're all afraid to lose their money because they tell a story and they get paid to tell a story over and over. These people at UFO conferences have no proof, not even having an experience, and they're still getting paid big bucks to talk. George Norrie, I feel bad because he stole the show from from Art Bell. All right. And Art Bell was the #1 radio station in the world while he was doing it for many, many years. And then all of a sudden they decided they couldn't let him do the show no more. They went after his son. They made him give up the show. I mean, he tried to get it back. And then the week later he was going to start a show. His house was blasted by guns and everything. So he can't do what he was doing. And then George Norrie takes all this credit, but he has no experience. He hears people talk all day long, but what's he have as far as proof for himself? I can only talk because I was next to an alien. I was next to a UFO. I work with true abductees that lost their children. And very few people in the UFO world can even talk about that. Bud Hopkins didn't. All right, he wrote so many books, made a fortune off of his books, and died. But there's people out there claiming a lot of things. Barbara Marx Hubbard, I don't know if you know who she is. And a few of her best friend, they're both elders, and they claim a lot of things. I was doing past life regression when I was 22. So I'm not going to get into it. There's so many liars out there, I can't stand it. For me, it's about truth and what's happening and what's going to happen. What happened 100 years ago has nothing to do with what's going to happen tomorrow. So it could blow up really big tomorrow or within the next year and destroy half of the planet. Do you understand that? Are aliens going to come down and help us? Are they looking forward to helping us? Now, people, I hate to throw so much information on you because you don't believe any of it or probably won't. Mr. Putin himself directly talking to Trump. He did it twice. Once was about 3 or 4 months before Trump was president. I was with my friend, and he was Russian, and I mean, he spoke English, but he was like, check this out. This is Mr. Putin talking to Russia, to the country. And he's saying, I want Trump to tell the world what actually happened at 9/11. If he doesn't, I will eventually do it. Then he says, I want Trump to come out and tell the world what they're doing with aliens. All right. And this is Putin himself. And he says, he said, we are working with 27 races. 2 of them actually want to destroy the planet. How would he know that? I'll tell you one reason. Russia and the United States work together in space. Seriously. And that was the original agreement was we all are friends in space. We're all one planet in space. China is doing their own thing. They don't even want to be part of what was really went down. I mean, the space shuttle, any race can go in there. All right? Any tribe, whatever words you want to use. But during this time when Mr. Putin said that, was months before Trump was president. He said it to Trump directly. All right? And you know when Trump met Putin for what, a couple hours? What did Trump do the next day? Created the space army. Well, he said he did. All right, it was already in existence, but he turned around and said, I created it. Well, he retitled it. He gave it the title Space Army, but basically it's called war weapons, war defense. And here's people should be thinking about the truth, which is also going into the government. When the world, talking about money and exchange, what kind of money? Gold was and still is the most valuable thing on the planet. But here's the thing. Nobody on this planet can tell you how much gold the United States has. All right? Compounded by that, we can make gold now. Aliens can make it a long time ago. So when the alien story came out, aliens come here to make us mine gold was another ridiculous story. When people don't know what the answer is, they have to fill it in with something. I'm going to write about a book about you, and I met you one day. Well, I guess he goes to bed at night at 12 o'clock every night. How do you know? See, all the stories that you hear, including all the stories about the Anunnaki, are lies. How do you know? How do I know? Well, something that people should learn how to do. I mean, it takes time. Learn how to go out of your body. And then learn how to experience your past lives. Those 2 things are the only reason why you're here in the first place. Nothing else. Not to get a family of 10, having 10 cars, 10 houses, boats, and it's not about that. How many plants you can grow, how many plants you can eat, how many animals you can kill, how many animals you can eat. None of that has to do with God, spirit, or the spiritual realm. And killing is wrong at every level. So when government says they want this whole big thing that Trump's so involved with child sales and all that kind of stuff, it's been going on for a long time inside the government. Oh, now they're supposed to come down on people. And what's Trump say? We got to kill them all. All right, if he gets in, what do you think he's going to do? I mean, a lot of the politicians and people in government already were involved with that. So he could take out everybody he wants in government. I don't want to get into that in detail, but it's another false thing. And I said, well, what about families that the husband abuses their child? Take them out as well? Well, they should, but are they? No. Do they even get a sentence in jail? Very small. Men's morals are ridiculous. All right. All the laws on the book are really crazy pertaining to women. The whole idea of what rape means in court is ridiculous. All those ideas. And it's a man's world, people. It will never be a woman's world. Oh, they're trying their best, trying this, trying to get in the army, trying to fight, trying to kill people. Why? To be equal to a man? They don't realize they're pulling further away from being a woman, becoming a man, and becoming equal to the men, which are very low in the spiritual level. And their karma is extremely high. I'm going to be doing a show on what I'm going to do in the next month. I'm setting up, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to keep emailing every person in the world, in the UFO world, saying if you have any balls, any courage to defend what you talk about, please, I will have an open debate with you live. All right, I'm going to get as many people, trying to get anybody to come on. 1 to 100. I don't care how many people come on. I'll debate them all. Because there's not a person in the UFO world that I could not debate and know I would win in a second. I'm going to name all these names, Nick, when I do the show. I don't know if you know anything about Nasar Harriman, Jumbo Melchizedek. Do you know what they say? And people believe it? Seriously. Nasar Harriman says he has the Ark of the Covenant. Jumbo Melchizedek says he goes inside the earth and deals with this race and he's going to bring them out. That didn't happen in years. They tell great stories. Even George Cavalassy said, well, the world's going to be destroyed. It didn't happen. All right? Okay. Now, Caroline Corey. She's another great speaker. Did 3 movies now. And making abduction, cloning, and all those words sound good. There's people now. Corey Good. He's another one. He said the world would be destroyed. It will be eventually. But no man on this planet is going to be able to say when and where. And the aliens can't either. But there's a serious situation going on that people don't understand. And it has to do with Tesla. People think he was a great person, one of the most smartest. Smart. What does smart really mean? Coming up with ideas? Creating things? What kind of things? Man's only mission on this planet is to create better toys. TOYS. Faster toys, bigger toys, more powerful toys, called weapons. Jets, rockets, submarines, and every other thing. Now we got little toy jets and rockets and drones and all those kind of things. It's always about toys. It's not about us as a being, as a relationship with the earth, with God, with life. All right? It's not about death. It's not about reincarnation. And it's not about your soul, which is what you are. I don't talk about this when Tina's on because she's so far from that because of everything that she went through in her life. I went through a lot of junk in my life, but it doesn't change my awareness. And I will never let it do that. I will die in my truth, always. And my truth is I'm responsible back to God only, nobody else. All right? So if I lie to you, I'm lying to God. And that's one sin you can't be forgiven for if you read the Bible. All right? Read Revelations, Christians. But they're afraid to because they think they could get forgiven for whatever they do. And that's man's delusional ideas. Same as when they came up to the Anunnaki, created man. All the stories, they're feeding you. Some person, being, entity, says, okay, here's what you should believe. The Egyptians had no truth. Seriously, they were slaves. So were the Mayans, so were the Aztecs. Building pyramids had nothing to do with the Egyptians. It sure didn't protect them, sure didn't help them, and it sure didn't feed them. What's the number one thing that everything that breathes needs? Food and water and air. All right? Those 3 things they need. All right? So it doesn't matter how many cars you have, how big the car is, or how fast it goes, or any of those things. So all creatures, every alien race needs something to survive. And then when I say alien race, means an entity that flies around inside a ship. Now, these light ships, I don't know what they really look like inside. The beings or entities, whatever's inside there. I'm working with one right now, but I still have limited communication. But outside of that, the ones that take a form of a ship or an alien or anything eat and need to eat. Greys need to eat. Reptilians need to eat. The mantis need to eat. The tall whites. I mean, all in the Nordics all need to eat. And what do they eat? Ask these UFO people. What were you eating when you went on the ship to eat with your friends? Ask them what their main diet is. Pancakes? Waffles? People? Well, they don't want the truth. Nobody in the UFO world that goes to these conferences wants the truth. Because they wouldn't be going there. Because they don't get any. Who cares what the government did and is doing? Oh, they're doing a lot of things. They're war beings. They have to create things to protect the rich people. That's what they get paid for, people. They don't get paid to save your sorry ass. Neither does Jesus. So all these people going around, well, this is this and that. It's all lies. But I'm going to throw this at you. The Constitution, people, is not for poor or middle class people. It never was. So for anybody to vote for people that support the Constitution and support rich people are pretty dumb. Why would they do that? They're taking more away from the poor people and giving more to the rich people. Why is that, people? Because rich people don't want to live next to poor people. Rich people don't want to feed poor people. While they stockpile billions and millions of dollars in their bank account. Why would you want to do that? Because they're not religious, they're not spiritual, and they don't care about anything except the word money and power. And the other word, fame. Musk, what he's doing, what he's saying. He's taking Twitter away and making it called X. And now Biden's trying to force the thing because X can't be checked or whatever. It's a ridiculous idea, the whole thing, every which way around it. But the building was painted with an X on it already. People, we're going in a very sick direction. And who do you think's responsible for that? Biden? Trump? Of course not. Do you know anything about MJ-12? Well, you should if you're in the UFO world. And none of those people can speak about because they don't know anybody in it. Seriously, I did. The one I knew is dead. So I can talk about what he said and everything else, but I won't say his name. But basically, they were working with aliens. Good and bad, whatever you want to call them. And good and bad is our definition. If they gave them help, they were good. If they didn't give them help, they were bad. We don't help countries that don't give us anything back. Why the United States let Tibet get taken over by China? Because they couldn't get anything from Tibet. If Tibet had gold bricks and was giving them to the United States, they would help them. But when somebody doesn't have anything to give you, why give them anything? Especially people and machines and weapons and everything else, because they don't. It's a sad world, people. Give and you shall receive, right? No, it's receive, and then maybe you'll give something back. Man always reverses everything, especially the truth. So, people, I hope you got something out of today. I will put it up when I do this next show about this debate I want to start and put it out there for all these super so-called UFO people, so-called spiritual people. I'm going after the 5 top spiritual people. And I know 3 of them met one time. Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, and the Dalai Lama. They all met and talked. All right. Now, realize their teachings have nothing to do with a God, nothing to do with the higher realms of God. They only pertain to you and your awareness in this reality. Period. Mr. Deepak Chopra goes on about healing your body. Really? How many people can do that? And for how long? You're going to die. But what are you going to die of? Give me one split second. Sorry about that. So, people, go online, type in 5 most spiritual people on the planet. See who they are. See what they teach. I mean, if Jesus was here today, they wouldn't put him anywhere because he's talking about God. And nobody on this world, in the spiritual realm, I'm talking about preachers and ministers and all those kind of people. They don't talk about God other than the so-called Jesus God. And Jesus was never God, never said he was God. Because he had psychic abilities? No, we all did in Atlantis. Aliens have 2 psychic abilities still. They don't have 32 of them because they're not spiritual. They're not all those words that you need to get the other ones. All right, they can sense and understand you from a far distance, like up in the sky. Teleportation, levitation, a few words they do have. All right, but they don't have the rest of them that pertain to spirit, energy, and the inner worlds. So, people, do you want the truth? Do you want to live and go and get some more lives? Go to the next conference. Well, there's one in September. I was invited to go with somebody. I might, if I can really work it out. I guess it's up at Mount Shasta. A few people that I know important. Laura Eisenhower, I did a show with her. She was on my show. We had, what, 12,500 people following our show that day. But she has nothing to say to me because she doesn't have any awareness of her great-grandfather, Eisenhower. So I guess her mother never said much to her about who and what he was either. Even though they both claim to be majestic. See, these stories, they're like parts of fragments of something. It's like having a puzzle with 100 or 200 pieces missing and you got maybe 10 or 15 pieces. You think you know what the puzzle is? Of course not. These people can't fill in all the other details. Life, death, why you're here, so there's aliens and what, and all this. They don't have a clue why it would even fit together or how does it fit together. I'm not going to go into that. But people, I'm trying to set up this debate, and I'll challenge these people on what they tell you every day. Rosando, what's he tell you? All right, I'm dealing with the people in Skinwalker Ranch trying to get one of them to get back to me. I can't. I'll have to give them a ultimatum, and people like that. Richard Dolan, I joined his site. I realized they're charging me $9 a month now, and he won't even reply to me. And whatever we put up, he's got to read it to see if he'll even put it up. So there's like no free will there, and I'm paying for the site. Okay, Skinwalker Ranch. Oh, you could watch the camera there, but not one of them will get back to me yet. I wrote 6 letters. I wrote one directly to Tyler, waiting to see if he will reply, and so far nothing. So people love to talk. I mean, if they got their niche and they think they fit in it right, they're not going to talk about it to anybody else. Like why they can't talk about this. Even when Art Bell was doing his show, a guy would come on, well, I can't talk about that. Oh, the only important thing you can't talk about. So we're going to listen to your bull story while we don't hear what's important about that story. And Lozano goes, well, I can only say what I feel. All right. And now he's saying UFOs are mostly drones. They can't, look, I don't want to get into that right now, but that's a lie. There's more UFOs over the planet every single minute, every single day. And they're all doing something other than just like sightseeing the planet and flying around it over and over. For what reason? All right, I could go out on a clear night or a clear morning, that's before sunrise, and see ships all the time. But in the past 2 months, there wasn't one night of clear sky. Not one. I got my cameras. I got a little deck outside with a lookout tower and everything. I can't get to use it. I'm thinking about getting another camera, but now, I got 4 cameras, and I can't even use them. Sure, I'm in the wrong part of Hawaii. We don't get sun. We don't get clear skies. Sometimes during the day we do, but not at night. The other side of the island usually has clear skies. Well, volcanoes, mountains pull in water. All right, I went to Puerto Rico, and the mountain up there, the rainforest, is incredible. They got hit with that disaster. Everything was wiped out, but there's gold inside where the river, the waterfalls goes down, and they can't mine it because it's too far down. It would cost too much money to get it out. That's their excuse. So, there's an excuse and a story behind every lie that makes it sound right. And when you can't tell the truth, it's a lie. If I'm going to tell you a story about aliens and I can't tell you what they really said to me or what they really did to me, it's a lie. What good is it? If they can't tell you the truth about Roswell, who cares? But it's an old story. But if they can't just admit that, they're not going to admit what they did with Evie. Check out who Evie was. Valan Thor, who he was an alien from Venus. 6 aliens from Venus came to this planet. There's one of the teachers at Mount Shasta. She died, just about died a couple years ago. She's hanging in there. Claims to be an alien. She came here at 6 years old and took on a body. Listen to these stories. She's got zero power. All right. Thor was brought into the White House because he did have powers. All right. And when anybody or entity or anything has powers, it's considered a god. The Egyptians followed aliens. The Mayans followed aliens. The Aztec followed aliens. And when the first religion was created, Hinduism, they were following deities. And deities are not aliens. Deities worked with people for a while, and they stopped. Aliens took over. I guess they figured it was so far down in a hole, they said, well, we're not going to be able to pull him out or help it. And look what happened when Jesus came. He was killed by many of his own followers. People, Gandhi, check out how he was died. All these people. If somebody's spiritual, they kill him. Why is that? Why would you think? They're harmless. All right, number one. Why would you kill a harmless person? We're warring people. Well, if you're a warring person, you should have no fear over a person that's harmless. People, our morals, we don't have any. We did when I was younger. At least we knew what the morals were. We knew if we went against them. But sadly to say, people today have no morals. No morals or respect for their own body, their own thoughts, their own actions. Well, blame it on something else other than you're already programmed to believe this, that, and the other thing. I remember way back when I always followed Sonny and Cher. And when they were splitting up, I said, I'm going to split up, and I did. But then when I saw their daughter change sex, it blew my mind. And suddenly things change in reality. Well, party people that like to swing and all those kind of things change reality because people's morals get taken away. I went to Washington State for 2 years. I was taken to a club. It's called Sex Positive. Everything went on in that club except drugs. Couldn't go in there if you had drugs or did drugs or they could prove that you were using them. All right? But every sexual thing went on in there. Everything went on and on from the age 18 to 90. I mean, there was no limit. It couldn't be under, I think, 16. But every sexual act went on in there. And it was legal. You know, if you don't classify something like a bar, if they classify it as a private club, they can do a lot more than if they don't classify it as a private club. And they go into the bar, club, whatever, you got to say, I'm a member. That changes the morals of the club. Really? Well, I'm going to call this a club, and then I don't have to do this, that, and the other thing. Well, we do that with space when we classified space as a place where all have to be united, which is another lie. United what? We're not united here. Okay, we could serve dinner and be friends, but when I go in a plane and go up there, we're going to be, enemies here. We're going to be fighting, and I'll go up there and we'll be friends. Everything you're being programmed with is a lie. The idea that we have no money is a lie, which is the thing that's controlling the world. If you knew they spent $720 billion a year in the United States alone on the space program, which is war in space, would you think they're poor? How did they get $720 billion? What's the deficit right now? Do you have a clue? All right. What I'm saying is everything you hear from government's a lie. The Constitution's the biggest lie of them all. Thomas Jefferson, who created freedom, all right, worked on freedom, the Patriotic Bill. He did a lot of things, but he gave the orders and he rode around killing every native tribe they could until he became president. People, we live on lies. We live on hate. We live on fear. And now prejudice is beyond imaginable. Oh, we can't be prejudiced, but we're more prejudiced than ever. You can't go online without seeing a shooting or a murder. Somebody goes in and kills a bunch of people, kills it. What's going on, people? Do you realize something bad is happening? It's not aliens, always. All right, aliens are playing a game too. But what's going on with man in their mind, in their thinking, or a child? The HARP system, which is created by Tesla, is the most dangerous weapon on the planet that's public. Okay, Jesse Ventura went into the White House talking to one of the people responsible for using it. Well, why would you use this? Well, we didn't know what we were going to actually use it for yet. And he said, but you're using it? And he goes, well, we learned how to use it in different ways. But that's as far as it went. They can send a beam anywhere on the planet and hit somebody with it. Serious, I'm not making it up. Chemtrails, part of them is so they can bounce the beam off of it. People, the government's not doing things for no reason. While they feed you balloons, or we're going to test a balloon, or we're going to test that. They're not doing that. When they send the first space shuttle up, or first rocket, I had the first astronaut on my show. He said they created the space program for him. He was on 6 missions. And I said, well, what about it? Oh, there's no aliens down here and nothing like that. I said, you ever see anything in space? Well, we saw lots of things in space. And that's all he would say. I had a big UFO event going on, and I called them up. I said, look, there's an alien. He goes, oh, and he just hung up on me. He's not allowed to talk about it still. People, the truth's there, but you're not going to hear it. My brother was a chemist in the Army. And he only told me a few things. He said, I'm going to tell you a couple of things, but it was 30 years later. He said, I can't say anything for at least 25 years on this. And he told me about weapons and stuff. It's mind-boggling. Just to show you how stupid, ignorant the world is. In a war, this guy and this guy sends all the children out there to kill each other, right? Why don't you just make them two fight? But then again, the weapons they had a gun, and they could shoot a city with it. Knock everybody on the ground unconscious for 24 hours. Wouldn't that be easier to do that than kill them all? People, it's about murder, killing. Where do you think that comes from? It stems with the Constitution. They slaughtered 50 million Native people. Jefferson's one of the biggest Native killers that ever lived in the United States. George Washington gave the orders to kill the tribes. And they were a president? Really? And then the Patriotic Bill was eliminated after 9/11. 9/11, Mr. Bush said, well, we can't have a Patriotic Bill. He said, you're either for us or you're a terrorist. Patriotic Bill means you could fight the government whenever you felt they were wrong. You don't have that right no more. If you don't support the government, you're a terrorist. These people that put down the president, tear him apart, they should be considered terrorists. Not people like Greenpeace, who's trying to save the animals, save the world, save dolphins, and things like that, which they classify 450 things as terrorist groups. People, are you going to wake up before the world ends? Not to save the world, to save yourself. Knowing the truth before you die is all that matters. Not how many other people you can get to understand that truth. On your dying bed, and you're leaving your body, what do you think? What do you think you're going to be thinking about? Am I going to see anybody? Am I going to go anywhere? What am I going to do? And all. You should know all that. That's why you're here. That's why you reincarnate over and over. And then when you learn that, you learn much more. If you don't even know you were here before, you're not learning anything. I mean, when you cast out reincarnation, you're forgetting why soul came here and all the work it did. You reincarnate so many times, whether you know that or not. And you're not aware of any of them. You had multiple families. Are you aware of any of those other families? Of course not. But when you do become aware, those families become real to you.
I've got this for you on, but when you do become aware.
Somebody's talking there. But people, well, I hope you got something out of today. And like I said, I'm trying to work out this deal. I'm going to send letters to all these people, trying to get them to come out and to talk with their so-called truth. And I'll show you how much I know, and I'll show you how much they don't know. There's no such thing as a good alien, people. None whatsoever. If they help you one day, one week, or whatever, are they going to save you from anything? Of course not. It's like somebody having a pet rabbit. Oh, that's Jody. That's my pet rabbit. 2 years later, they eat him. You think it's going to be any different with people? The human race is a herd to most alien races. You think they got to make love to them or be friends with them? Seriously? Of course not. Well, people, I hope you got something out of today. If you got any balls, send this link to everybody you know. Let them decide what's important in their life, what awareness really means, because they don't have any. All right, I will send the link out to everybody I can when I get the other show set up. Peace, love, compassion, whatever you think you want in your life, don't stop until you get it. And when you do get it, make sure it's real. Make sure it's what you really needed, because it probably isn't. Tommy here from Hawksblood. Tommy Hawksblood from Hawaii, sorry. Closing out. Tune in a couple of days, and I will have a different story to talk about.